Sport Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Biden of Bob's Little Sport Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811. PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
Oh, how I'm longing for the day when I'm back at Orchid Bay, where the silver water glistens in the sun.
When is the last time you raced a small boat across wide open water? Tired of snow, traffic jams, cold weather? You need a refreshing change of scenery, a world away. The Bahama Islands have vacation rental homes and apartments. Enjoy spectacular nature in the Abacos Islands. Enjoy refreshing Caribbean beauty, fishing, snorkeling, scuba, the beach. www.enjoyabaco.com. That's A-B-A-C-O. Enjoyabaco.com.
As I sail across the sea of Abaco, the smiling comes I know, only one more mile to go.
Enjoyabaco.com.
Hello, I'm Reverend Carl Kelly, and I head up the Frederick Douglass Foundation of Indiana. President Obama's attacks on the Constitution continues to be aided and abetted by one of his trusted allies in Congress, ultra-liberal Democrat Andre Caution of Indianapolis, nationally known for his infamous racial rants against the Tea Party. I want to tell you about J.D. Manier. J.D. will be a representative for the people of the 7th District. J.D. Manier is a pro-growth Reagan conservative and is co-host of the conservative Commandos Radio show. He is asking you to join his army of supporters in order to defeat Carson and go to Washington to demand special prosecutors for Benghazi, the IRS, and other scandals. J.D. is interested in what's good for the people of the 7th District, not Nancy Pelosi. He will promote strong economic growth and jobs by getting the government off the backs of the people, voting for tax cuts and slashing regulations. Help elect a pro-life defender of freedom who will strongly support Israel, vote to cut wasteful spending, and battle to repeal Obama's socialist agenda. Log on to ManierForCongress.com and donate today. That's MINIEAR for Congress.com. Paid for and authorized by the J.D. Manier for Congress Committee.
I'm J.D. Manier, candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives, Indiana District 7, and I approve of this message.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world on the Internet. We're coming to you live from the CCRS studios, WNJC 1360 and WIFI 1460. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with your host, Rick Trader. The Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard. You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody, and welcome, fellow patriots, and welcome once again to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show. I am Rick Trader, coming to you live from the CCRS studios, that of WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, the way we do Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. and around the world on the Internet with our new Internet broadcast partners, CPRWorldwideMedia.com, PatriotsRide.org, and VigilantLibertyRadio.us. And joining me today on the first day of May, all the way from Nevada, is my very good friend and co-host for today, Sharon Engel. Sharon, welcome to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show.
Thank you, Rick. I almost hate to say Happy May Day, but it used to be a good thing to say. I'm not sure anymore.
Well, it's nice to be in May. You know, it's been a really tough end of April. The devastating storms that went through the South, just absolutely incredible. In fact, one of my good friends, somebody who used to be a part of the Conservative Commandos radio show, Jennifer Meadows, posted on her Facebook page that she and her husband were in a parking lot of a church in Tupelo, Mississippi the other day when a tornado come through. And they really thought that this was going to be it, that the car was being picked up and tossed and whatever, and fortunately they got out of it without a scratch, but unfortunately for a lot of other people down in the South, it's not that way. People lost their lives, they lost their homes, they lost their businesses. Some entire communities have been wiped out. And locally yesterday, we got torrential downpours totaling almost 6 inches of rain. So we've had a rough end of April, and thank God we're now in the May, and let's hope for better things.
Well, you're not the only one. Of course, there's been terrible weather across the nation, tornadoes. I can think of people dying in this weather. So yeah. It's not a good thing. And you're right. We're looking forward to better weather. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that the liberals, though, would blame this all on climate change or global warming. I really believe it's just a wake-up call to all of us. We probably need to insist that Al Gore apologize to God.
Maybe. Maybe, Sharon. Maybe. I wouldn't doubt it. So, Sharon, we got a great show lined up for our listeners today. And at 3:30 today, we're going to have our good friend Fred Lucas. Fred is the official White House correspondent for the Conservative Commandos radio show. He's also the White House correspondent for theblaze.com. And Sharon, there was a very interesting press briefing yesterday at the White House. I would call it quite an extraordinary exchange between Jonathan Karl of ABC News and White House Press Secretary Jay Carney about the recently released memos and emails coming out of the White House about Benghazi, how they fabricated this idea that this video started the massacre of our four citizens at the consulate in Benghazi, and how it was just all a ploy to protect Barack Obama. And interesting enough, this all happened like 1 month before the presidential election. So we're going to have Fred Lucas join us today to talk about this exchange between Jonathan Karl and the White House Press Secretary Jay Carney, as well as we're going to get into some of the information that was divulged from the release of these emails and memos.
Well, I'm really excited about doing that, Rick. As you know, we at ourvoicepack.com have been making videos about Benghazi for over 2 years. And in fact, those videos are even more relevant right now than they were when we made them, because we put all the dots together and showed that this was not a video. Now they're trying to cover up the cover-up, of course. This has nothing to do with the video. This was the abandoning of 4 U.S. citizens and more, actually, and more. 4 died.
Yeah.
But the incredible statement of Hillary Clinton, what difference does it make, should ring in every patriot's ears and should be the death knell of her campaign for 2016.
Yeah, I think it should. And, you know, they were also having congressional hearings this morning. Congressman Darrell Issa was heading them up. And the first person they interviewed today was a retired general who was there. And he says it's almost unbelievable that there was no help sent to them, that previously our military responded to the they went to the sound of gunfire, I think is what he said. And, you know, what we're going to do, Sharon, is when we get Fred Lucas on, we're actually going to play some of this exchange between Jonathan Karl and Jay Carney. Can't play the whole thing. The whole thing's 8 minutes. We're going to play a pretty big chunk of it as it is, but I think our listeners are going to enjoy this exchange. And as I said, I think it was an extraordinary exchange on 2 fronts. Number one, the argument between Jonathan Karl and Jay Carney, and also the information that came out of that exchange. Just some extraordinary stuff. And, you know, Sharon, whenever I think about this cover-up in Benghazi, people want to compare it to Watergate. No one died in Watergate. 4 Americans died in Benghazi. So, Sharon, who else are we going to speak with today?
Well, in our next segment, after we get through with Mr. Lucas, we're going to be talking with Scotty Nell Hughes, who is the chief contributor and news director for the Tea Party News Network. She's traveling live with the Tea Party Express across the nation. They've been in Wichita, Kansas, and other parts. But today she's going to be talking to us about the rift between those of us who are at the grassroots of the Republican Party and that elite establishment that has tried to distance themselves, if you will, from the grassroots and really has created havoc with campaigns for conservatives. So we're looking forward to talking with Scotty Nell Hughes. I've traveled on the Tea Party Express myself, actually made a cross-country tour with them about 1.5 years ago. It was exciting to see the grassroots of America turn out to talk about what's real in this nation. And it's even more exciting, I think, Rick Trader, when you understand that conservatives across the nation agree. There is nothing that we don't agree on. In fact, we think alike. And when we look at that big groundswell, we know that it's about 80% of this nation agrees with us. This small elitist minority in Washington, D.C. has cloistered themselves away from the reality of this nation. And they are foisting regulation, law, and an agenda on the American people that is just outrageous and really not accepted by the majority of the people. So I'm excited to hear how Scotty Nell Hughes will relate to us how the tour has been going across this nation as they've been making stop after stop, really connecting with true American patriots.
Got to find out from Scotty when we have her on if those travels are going to take us either near you in Reno or near us out here near Philadelphia.
Absolutely, absolutely. Our final guest today is Gina Miller. She is a disc jockey, former disc jockey. So I'm not sure if we could classify her as a radio talk show host, but she's certainly been a political writer and a radio voice professional. Mm-hmm. And she's going to be talking about the Dems trolling the media for hate speech. Mm-hmm. Now, this is really something that I think we need to talk about on the heels of what has happened to the pro basketball team owner of the Clippers, Sterling. You know, you may not agree with what he said. In fact, I don't think there's an American that wasn't horrified with what he said. However, there is a problem with what has happened here, with this whole idea of what constitutes hate speech, what constitutes slander and libel. How do we tell the difference between just pure stupid remarks and hate speech?
Yeah.
How do we tell the difference between something that needs to be prosecuted and something that, as I said, is just purely stupid, ignorant, and comes from a person who truly should keep his mouth shut.
Absolutely. Hey, Sharon, and with that, we're up against our first break. So we do have a great show lined up for our listeners today. And you are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader. And we're coming to you from the CCRS studios, that of WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, the way we do, Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and around the world on the Internet via our new Internet broadcast partners, CPRWorldwideMedia.com, PatriotsRide.org, and VigilantLibertyRadio.us. And don't forget, now you can listen to the Conservative Commandos radio show anytime, day or night, by calling 832-999-1199. Call using your cell phone at no extra cost. Use those mobile minutes. Be right back.
For the day when I'm back at Orchid Bay, where the silver water glistens in the sun.
When is the last time you raced a small boat across wide open water? Tired of snow, traffic jams, cold weather? You need a refreshing change of scenery, a world away. The Bahama Islands have vacation rental homes and apartments. Enjoy spectacular nature in the Abacos Islands. Enjoy refreshing Caribbean beauty, fishing, snorkeling, scuba, the beach. www.enjoyabaco.com. That's ABACO. EnjoyAbaco.com.
As I sail across the sea of Abaco, smiling 'cause I know only one more mile to go.
EnjoyAbaco.com.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811, PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today, the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Biden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
And welcome back to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show with Sharon Angle and Rick Trader. And if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show at 10:10 this evening Eastern Time, log on to patriotsride.org. And for a rebroadcast of yesterday's show at 5 p.m. this evening, when we leave you with our live broadcast, please log on to cprworldwidemedia.com. And you could also listen to a repeat broadcast of today's show tomorrow afternoon by going to vigilantlibertyradio.us. And don't forget, you can hear the Conservative Commandos radio show anytime, day or night, from your phone by calling 832-999-1199. There's no extra charge for this call, so if you have a telephone plan with unlimited access, doesn't cost you anything. So Sharon Angle, great to be working with you again today. And what else is on your radar screen this day, my friend?
Well, we are going to court on the 7th of May to discuss voter ID here in Nevada. As you know, we put out a petition to allow the voters in Nevada to put this into the Constitution, saying that we as voters in Nevada require that you present a photo ID when you go to the polls to vote.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, we've been sued by the ACLU and the Democrat Party nationally. This is not a Nevada issue to them. This is something that they're willing to invest lots of money in to make sure that we don't have any success here in Nevada at curbing at least part of the machinery that helped elect Harry Reid in 2010.
And a lot of other lousy Democrat politicians through voter fraud.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is not a whim. We have been seeing it crop and rear its ugly head for decades.
Yeah. Hey, Sharon, you know, speaking of voter fraud, there was an article that I saw on the internet last week, I believe it was. There was an audit done of voter registration in North Carolina and Virginia, and there were 40,000. They found 40,000 people that were registered in both states.
Absolutely. That's one of the problems. And, of course, we know that if you're going to the polls personally to vote in both of those states, a voter ID would be helpful. But regardless of that, they have challenged us. They have delayed us. We have been delayed and delayed and delayed. But we're finally going to get our day in court on the 7th of May. And our attorney has been working diligently on this for us. We're now up to a whopping $5,870 in lawyer fees. And I really do need help. If people can spare $25 or $50 for our court costs, that would be so much appreciated. If they would just go to SharonAngle.com and push the donate button, or OurVoicePack.com and push the donate button. I know you've done this, Rick Trader. You've been helping us all along, and I really appreciate your help because we know that these battles aren't just in one state. We are a united nation, and what happens in this state will also happen in other states. We've been watching it with California as the incubator of every leftist liberal idea that goes into law. Mm-hmm. And certainly now that they have the bathroom bill, which of course is unisex bathrooms for children as well as adults in schools and in every public place, you can bet that that's coming our way if we don't help California defeat those kinds of measures. So whenever a state is fighting hard for freedom, we should be right there alongside them, lending a hand.
I totally agree with you, Sharon. And, kick in people out there. Kick in $5, $10, $25, whatever you can afford, whatever you can spare. You know what? Sacrifice a little bit. Make a sacrifice. A movie. Sacrifice a movie, or sacrifice going out to dinner, and help Sharon out there. Defeat the ACLU.
That's right. We've got there seems to be a commonality here in the front, if you will. The people that are dead set against our freedoms, they keep popping up over and over and over again. In fact, we had a guest on our Conservative Commandos radio show a while back, Steve Dace, who wrote about their agenda and what's going on with that agenda, and how we have a four-legged stool here, and how they fund their agenda through Planned Parenthood and the $470 million a year child-killing industry. He said, "Don't you dare call it abortion anymore. It's too clean a term." And then he said the second one is this idea that 1 out of 6 top bundlers to the Democrat Party is a homosexual. And that agenda then is funding the Democrat Party. The third stool is education, and we've been long talking about this, and of course Common Core has just brought this up once more, that their agenda is to propagandize our children, and they're using the teachers union as a force to politicize and also to put money behind the Democrat Party. And then finally, the unions is that fourth leg of the stool. They use the unions not only for their money that they collect for their political agenda to throw behind Democrat candidates, but they also use them as their troops on the ground, if you will. We've seen the SEIU and different unions go to the polls and intimidate voters.
Yeah. Hey, Sharon, we got about a minute before we go to our break. Again, please give out your websites where people can help you out.
That's right. Go to SharonEngle.com or OurVoicePack.com.
All right. And, the one thing that I got to hand it to the left, they open their wallets and they support their causes. We have to do the same thing as conservatives. We need to boots on the ground and money in the coffers to defeat these people. We have to blunt their efforts with our efforts, and all of us need to do it. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. All of us need to do it. Hey, Sharon, with that, we're going to go into a break. And you are listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader, coming to you live from the CCRS studios, that of WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia. The way we do, Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m., and around the world on the internet with our new internet broadcast partners, CPRWorldwideMedia.com, PatriotsRide.org, and VigilantLibertyRadio.us. Today's show, it's brought to you by the First Amendment, and it is protected by the Second. But we must all also do our part. Don't go away. Sharon and I will be right back.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811. PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
Oh, how I'm longing for the day when I'm back at Orchid Bay, where the silver water glistens in the sun.
When is the last time you raced a small boat across wide open water? Tired of snow, traffic jams, cold weather? You need a refreshing change of scenery, a world away. The Bahama Islands have vacation rental homes and apartments. Enjoy spectacular nature in the Abacos Islands. Enjoy refreshing Caribbean beauty, fishing, snorkeling, scuba, the beach. www.enjoyabaco.com. That's ABACO. Enjoyabaco.com.
As I sail across the Sea of Abaco, smiling 'cause I know only one more mile to go.
Enjoyabaco.com.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Viden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
Hello, I'm Reverend Carl Kelly, and I head up the Frederick Douglass Foundation of Indiana. President Obama's attacks on the Constitution continues to be aided and abetted by one of his trusted allies in Congress, ultra-liberal Democrat Andre Carson of Indianapolis, nationally known for his infamous racial rants against the Tea Party. I want to tell you about J.D. Manier. J.D. will be a representative for the people of the 7th District. J.D. Manier is a pro-growth Reagan conservative and is co-host of the conservative Commandos Radio Show. He is asking you to join his army of supporters in order to defeat Carson and go to Washington to demand special prosecutors for Benghazi, the IRS, and other scandals. J.D. is interested in what's good for the people of the 7th District, not Nancy Pelosi. He will promote strong economic growth and jobs by getting the government off the backs of the people, voting for tax cuts and slashing regulations. Help elect a pro-life defender of freedom who will strongly support Israel, vote to cut wasteful spending, and battle to repeal Obama's socialist agenda. Log on to ManierForCongress.com and donate today. That's MINIEAR for Congress.com. Paid for and authorized by the J.D. Manier for Congress Committee.
I'm J.D. Manier, candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives, Indiana District 7, and I approve of this message.
You can call the Conservative Commandos Radio Show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader. And a program note, if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show at 10:10 this evening, log on to patriotsride.org. That's patriotsride.org. And for a rebroadcast of yesterday's show at 5 p.m., when we end our live broadcast, please log on to cprworldwidemedia.com and click on the Listen Live link. You can also hear a rebroadcast of today's show tomorrow afternoon by going to vigilantlibertyradio.us. And don't forget, you can now listen to our show by calling 832-999-1199 anytime, day or night. And Sharon, we do have our first guest with us today, and Fred Lucas is the official White House correspondent for the Conservative Commandos radio show. And officially, he's the White House correspondent for theblaze.com. And before joining The Blaze, Fred worked at cnsnews.com, and Fred is also the author of The Right Frequency, all about the world of talk radio, and it's a must-read. Fred, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Great to have you with us. We always enjoy having you, Fred. And Fred, you wrote an article, Jay Carney's shocking statement during tense exchange with reporters. Newly released White House emails not about Benghazi. Fred, you call it a tense exchange. I, quite frankly, call it an extraordinary exchange between Jonathan Karl of ABC News and White House Press Secretary Jay Carney. And I think it's extraordinary on two fronts. Number one, the argument between the two of them that went on for over 8 minutes. And number two, the information that came out of this go-between. Fred, have you ever seen anything like this in a White House briefing room before?
Well, I've seen a few tangles. This was unique, I think, and today we saw this again. Today, Benghazi, I think it's safe to say, Benghazi dominated today, maybe a little bit more than yesterday. There were probably more reporters that asked about these emails. I think so much just because that for Jay Carney to stand up there and say with a straight face that these emails were not really about Benghazi, I think sort of did prompt a reaction from a lot in the press corps. Some people who had maybe undercovered this or misreported on it in the past, that this was something that, it was time to look into this again, just because I think the White House certainly miscalculated how to respond on this.
Right.
If they wanted to respond, how to spin this, if they were looking to spin it.
Well, I think it's interesting that I know you, Fred, and people at CNS News and The Blaze and Fox News have been trying to cover this, have been criticized for their coverage, and finally now maybe the mainstream media is waking up to this. As I said, the Jonathan Karl, ABC News, is the one who got into it yesterday with Jay Carney. So, and another thing, Fred, I keep thinking, and number one, this cover-up, the attack on our consulate in Benghazi, and the cover-up of which happened right before the presidential election in 2012. And as it was pointed out in these emails, a lot of this email of prepping Susan Rice was to protect Barack Obama right before the election.
Right. That was clear that in the Ben Rhodes email, and that was taking. The White House has thus far kept trying to say that this is something, those talking points, blaming the video and so forth, that all came from the CIA intelligence. What happened this week is these new revelations from Judicial Watch that they had to sue, by the way, to get. They had to go to federal court to get these documents. These new revelations show that that whole narrative that turned out to be a false narrative, that went straight to the White House, inside the White House, as part of the press operation that they were trying to push this narrative, which came, this terrorist attack came very inconveniently close to a presidential election.
Right.
For the White House.
Fred,
they had to spin it the best they could.
Right. Fred, what I'd like to do now is, here at the studio, I want to play excerpts from this press conference yesterday and this rub between Jonathan Karl and Jay Carney. So we're going to put you and Sharon on hold so you can hear it too. And we're going to play this. And again, you're not going to play the whole thing because the whole argument went almost 9 minutes. But we wanted you, our audience, to hear what went on yesterday in the White House briefing room.
Yeah, to follow up on the new Benghazi email, you knew full well that these Sunday show appearances were going to be dominated by the attack at Benghazi, right? As they were.
We certainly knew that would be a big part of the shows.
The primary thrust of those shows.
John,
you just had an attack on a U.S. consulate in Benghazi. You had Americans killed. You knew full well that what Susan Rice was primarily going to be asked about was about that attack, a terrorist attack on a U.S. consulate in Benghazi.
Can I read the promo from your show, ABC This Week?
All the promos you want.
John,
you don't acknowledge that these was going to be about the Benghazi attack?
John, absolutely. And that's why, as members of Congress did, Ambassador Rice relied on points about the Benghazi attack that were produced by the CIA. On the matter of Benghazi, relying on talking points that were originally created for members of Congress at the request of members of Congress so that they could go on television and talk about what happened in Benghazi.
Ambassador Rice went on those shows and she said that the attack in Benghazi was rooted in protests over an internet video. We now know that that was not true, that in fact the CIA director, former director Morell, just testified last month that, quote, when she talked about the video, my reaction was, that's not something the analysts have attributed this attack to. It did not come from the CIA. You stood there at the podium time after time and said that she was referring to talking points created by the CIA. Now we see a document that comes from the White House, not from the CIA, attributing the protests to the video. And we have the former director of the CIA saying that that was not something that his analysts had attributed to.
John, I would point you to what Mike Morell has said repeatedly in testimony about the creation of the talking points.
Well, now we have new talking points.
Let me finish,
though,
please.
You didn't release them.
The fact of the matter is, there were protests in the region. The talking points cited protests at that facility. The connection between protests and video, and the video turned out not to be the case, but it was based on the best information that we had, and the fact that there were protests.
It's not based on what the CIA was saying,
John,
Jay.
I would point you to. I understand
This is what Morell said just last month. That when he heard that, he said that is not something our analysts have said. So that now we see came from the White House. Right?
John, no, you're wrong. If you look at that document that we're talking about today was about the overall environment in the Muslim world. The protests outside of Khartoum, the embassy in Khartoum, outside of the embassy in Tunis, the protests outside of the embassy in Cairo. These were big stories. This was a big problem, and this was an ongoing story through that weekend. John, let me finish.
Did the show say that the attack at Benghazi was rooted in a protest over the video? That's what she said.
I know that you and I are both in a different time zone right now, but we're still in April of 2014, and this is a discussion about what she said and what turned out to be the case that we have had dozens of times in this room. And the fact of the matter is, she went out there with the best information that we had at the time. The CIA deputy director has testified to that. The fact that there were protests around the region threatening our embassies at the very same time is something that is often forgotten, but obviously affected the whole environment about how we perceived what was happening at the time. And again, the implication is that we were somehow holding back information, when in fact we were simply saying what we thought was right. And when elements of that turned out not to be true, we were the first people to say so. It was based on what we knew at the time.
Why were you holding back this information? Why was this email not turned over to the Congress? Why was it not released when you released all the other emails? This is directly relevant. Why did you hold it back? Why did it take a court case for you to release this email?
John, I can say it again and again, and I know you can keep asking again and again. This document was not about Benghazi.
It was your prep for the Sunday
It
shows.
wasn't her only prep.
All right, and again, we're speaking with Fred Lucas from The Blaze, the White House correspondent. And Fred, that was just an example of what went on between Jonathan Karl of ABC News and White House Press Secretary Jay Carney. And Karl is telling him the CIA did not put out this information. This information came from the White House.
Yeah, that's right. And this same conversation actually happened today. We saw it from a lot of network folks and several other reporters here in the press room that Carney doubled down on this. Though Carney doubled down that that these were not about explicitly. He used the word explicitly about Benghazi. He also doubled down on saying that other unrest in the Middle East was caused by
Hey, Fred,
video.
With that, could you hold your thought, because we do have to go to a break, okay?
Okay, sure.
And we are going to take a break right now. You're listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader, coming to you from the CCRS studios, that of WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the internet via our internet broadcast partners, CPRWorldwideMedia.com, PatriotsRide.org, and VigilantLibertyRadio.us. And also, please check out our websites, ConservativeCommandosRadioshow.com and CCRShow.com. Two separate sites, different information on each one of them. Please don't go away. We'll be right back with more from Fred Lucas.
That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but I... Oh, how I'm longing for the day when I'm back at Orchid Bay, where the silver water glistens in the sun.
When is the last time you raced a small boat across wide open water? Tired of snow, traffic jams, cold weather? You need a refreshing change of scenery, a world away. The Bahama Islands have vacation rental homes and apartments. Enjoy spectacular nature in the Abacos Islands. Enjoy refreshing Caribbean beauty, fishing, snorkeling, scuba, the beach. www.enjoyabaco.com. That's ABACO. Enjoyabaco.com.
As I sail across the Sea of Abaco, smiling 'cause I know only one more mile to go.
Enjoyabaco.com.
Hi, this is Bob Viden, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Viden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittlesportshop.com.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader, and our guest this segment is Fred Lucas, the official, unofficial White House correspondent for the CCRS and the official White House correspondent for theblaze.com. Fred, thanks for holding through the break. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Fred, in your article that you put out yesterday about this, you wrote, and in fact you quote Jay Carney here, the fact is the connection between the attack and the video turned out not to be the case, but it was based on the best information that we had. Fred, doesn't what has come out proven that they lied about that? They knew that there was that what went on in Benghazi had absolutely nothing to do with the video?
Right. That is something. I mean, that's been a thoroughly discredited claim that they've made. It's just something that the Carney keeps coming back to. Is
right.
The video was about all this other unrest in the Middle East. Benghazi. Well, that turned out to be wrong, and we corrected it.
Yeah. Well, again, you in your article, Fred, you quote Carney again. The implication is that we were somehow holding back information when, in fact, we were simply saying what we thought was right. And that when these elements that turned out not to be true, we were the first to say so. It was based on what we knew at the time. Again, another lie, Fred Lucas.
I think the big bottom line here is that they They keep claiming they released all this information back when this happened, early on. We know now that they didn't release all this information. That's years later, we're getting this FOIA lawsuit from Judicial Watch.
Right.
Judicial Watch had to force this out. This was information that was not released to Congress or the public. And something Jay Carney said today during the interrogation, he kept claiming that these were conspiracy theories. It's something he said about 20 times during the briefing. He's trying to be very dismissive about this, and I think a lot of the MSM had been on board with that dismissiveness for a while, but not so much anymore.
Right.
And I think he may have gone a bridge too far when he just stood there and claimed this has nothing to do with Benghazi. But by the way, the actual request that Judicial Watch made was specifically for Benghazi documents, and the lawsuit was specifically for Benghazi documents. The State Department handed these documents over. Then when they don't turn out the way the White House wants them to turn out, the White House says these were not Benghazi documents.
All right. Also, Fred, in your article, you wrote the White House officials in the communications office set up talking points for then U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Susan Rice, claiming the unrest was rooted in the Internet video and not a broader, and this is what I wanted to point out, and not a broader failure of policy. The email seemed to show the White House spokesman, Ben Rhodes, collaborating with other senior White House officials to shield Barack Obama from criticism. Also, Fred, something I wanted to mention, I pulled off from Judicial Watch here. Let me find it. Okay, here it is. The goals of the PR offense, Rose says, is to reinforce Barack Obama and the administration's strength and steadiness in dealing with difficult challenges. Fred, I'm looking at this, and our friend Jonathan Mosley just chimed in again. A lie too far. It's a great way to put it, Jonathan. But, Fred, I'm looking at this, and I'm saying that this points out just the opposite, how weak and indecisive these people in the White House are.
Right, and this, it does all come back to this point that Judicial Watch these documents had to be forced out. This is not something the White House or the State Department was willing to release early on. If they had, we might be looking at a very different situation. Also, the White House persistently, the administration on down has kept saying, "Oh, this is just a political investigation. Derelice is political. Everyone is political who wants to look into this." I think what these documents show is that the White House was being very political. The White House was being very political early on.
Does that surprise you, Fred? Does that really surprise you, Fred? Does that really surprise you, Fred? This ways out.
No. But I mean,
hey, Fred. On the other line, I do have Sharon Angle with us today, and Sharon wanted to get into this conversation. Sharon.
Yes. Hello, Fred. Thanks so much for being on our show. I wanted to ask you about Hillary Clinton's complicity in all of this. Do you think that she was the one that found the video? Is she the one that started the cover-up? Where does she fit in? And I guess that, to me, is more important, maybe, than the president's lie, because he can't be the president again because of term limits, but certainly she can. So tell us about the other actors and their complicity in this whole scheme. How is that coming out?
Well, these were State Department emails, and just a quick thing about FOIA. The White House documents can't be FOIA'd, but you can FOIA certain communications if you FOIA the State Department. So these documents came from the State Department. So yeah, it's ultimately a State Department matter, and this happened under her watch. I think Hillary Clinton is counting on this not affecting her presidential campaign. But as this starts to unravel, and if this, what happened today is puts us back on the public agenda. People had ignored it for a long time, but now it is back on the agenda. We know things that we didn't know. We see things that people said are not true now, and that will have some impact on Hillary.
Hey, you know, Fred,
I think she doesn't want it to. I mean, I think she's hoping that it'll just like slip away and people will become bored with it again.
You know, Sharon, I'm glad you brought up Hillary Clinton in this. And Fred, you know, I want both Fred, Sharon, and our audience to hear this, and then let's talk a little bit more about Hillary Clinton.
Not the fact.
But
and the American people could have known that within days, and they didn't know that.
With all due respect, the fact is we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make? It is our job to figure out what happened and do everything we can to prevent it from ever happening again, Senator. Now, honestly, I will do my best to answer your questions about this, but the fact is that people were trying in real time to get to the best information. The IC has a process, I understand, going with the other committees to explain how these talking points came out. But, you know, to be clear, it is, from my perspective, less important today, looking backwards, as to why these militants decided they did it, than to find them and bring them to justice. And then maybe we'll figure out what was going on in the meantime.
Okay, thank you, Madam Secretary.
Senator Shaheen.
And there you go. That's Hillary Clinton with her very famous statement. What difference does it make? Sharon Engel, I got to ask you, what difference does it make? I think it makes a whole bunch of difference.
Well, we actually made a video on what we felt the difference was. The difference is Titanic, and you can view that video at ourvoicepack.com. But back to you, Fred, on what difference does it make going forward? And I guess that's my question to you. Does this make any difference? Is it too late for us to make an impact with the truth, or will the truth always will out, and will we see justice?
Well, I think from a political 2016 perspective, right now, early polls, and it's too hard to tell at this point, but polls are showing it's not hurting her. That said, I think we haven't seen a barrage of commercials yet of her making that statement. I mean, there's still, I would say, a big majority of Americans that don't know that Hillary Clinton said in front of Congress, what difference does it make regarding the terrorist attack that resulted in the death of 4 Americans. So, and that, well, I mean, once that is, we have the airwaves that paraded with that could make a difference.
Hey, Fred, Sharon,
what difference will it make for you?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt Fred and Sharon, but we only have about 30 seconds left before we have to take a hard break. Fred, I want to thank you for joining us today, and where can people go to follow your work?
theblaze.com. That's THEBLAZ as in zebra E.com.
Well, Fred, we so enjoy having you on the show, and as we call you, our official and unofficial White House correspondent. It's great to have a connection to the White House so we can get the full scoop. Fred Lukes, I want to thank you for joining us.
Thanks very much.
Take care. God bless. And with that, we're going to take a break. You're listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader, and we're coming to you live from the CCR studios, that of WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the internet, CPRWorldwideMedia.com, PatriotsRide.org, and VigilantLibertyRadio.us. And don't forget, you can now listen to the show anytime, day or night, by calling 832-999-1199. There's no extra charges for this call, so if you call from a phone that you have unlimited access, it's a free call. Please don't go away. Sharon and I will be right back.
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811. PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
Oh, how I'm longing for the day when I'm back at Orchid Bay, where the silver water glistens in the sun.
When is the last time you raced a small boat across wide open water? Tired of snow, traffic jams, cold weather? You need a refreshing change of scenery, a world away. The Bahama Islands have vacation rental homes and apartments. Enjoy spectacular nature in the Abacos Islands. Enjoy refreshing Caribbean beauty, fishing, snorkeling, scuba, the beach. www.enjoyabaco.com. That's A-B-A-C-O. Enjoyabaco.com.
As I sail across the sea of Abaco, the smiling coast I know, only one more mile to go.
Enjoyabaco.com.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Viden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittlesportshop.com.
Hello, I'm Reverend Carl Kelly, and I head up the Frederick Douglass Foundation of Indiana. President Obama's attacks on the Constitution continues to be aided and abetted by one of his trusted allies in Congress, ultra-liberal Democrat Andre Carson of Indianapolis, nationally known for his infamous racial rants against the Tea Party. I want to tell you about J.D. Manier. J.D. will be a representative for the people of the 7th District. J.D. Manier is a pro-growth Reagan conservative and is co-host of the conservative Commandos Radio show. He is asking you to join his army of supporters in order to defeat Carson and go to Washington to demand special prosecutors for Benghazi, the IRS, and other scandals. JD is interested in what's good for the people of the 7th District, not Nancy Pelosi. He will promote strong economic growth and jobs by getting the government off the backs of the people, voting for tax cuts and slashing regulations. Help elect a pro-life defender of freedom who will strongly support Israel, vote to cut wasteful spending, and battle to repeal Obama's socialist agenda. Log on to ManierForCongress.com and donate today. That's MINIEAR for Congress.com. Paid for and authorized by the J.D. Manier for Congress Committee.
I'm J.D. Manier, candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives, Indiana District 7, and I approve of this message.
You can call the Conservative Commandos Radio Show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader. And if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show at 10:10 this evening, log on to patriotsride.org. And for a rebroadcast of yesterday's show at 5 p.m., when we end our live broadcast, log on to cprworldwidemedia.com. And don't forget, you can now listen to the Conservative Commandos radio show anytime, day or night, from your telephone by calling 832-999-1199. There's no extra charges for this call, so if you're using your cell phone, use those mobile minutes. And with that, Sharon Engel, we do have our next guest with us, and the honor of the introduction is yours.
It is my pleasure to introduce Scotty Nell Hughes, currently serving as the chief contributor and news director for the Tea Party News Network. Scotty Nell's interviews have been linked on top sites like Drudge Report, Breitbart, The Blaze, World Net Daily, The Daily Caller, with several stories going viral. Scotty Nell has also had various appearances on Fox's Hannity, Fox and Friends, Cavuto, and on Business, CNN's Piers Morgan, Current TV, Rasmussen Reports, Canadian Broadcasting Company, and the BBC. Scotty also serves as a columnist for townhall.com. Scotty, welcome back to Conservative Commandos radio show.
Oh, thank you for having me. And isn't it just a beautiful day to be an American? Well, we're almost a week out from the first round of primaries, and all of us are really excited in America today to get going to the voting booth and hopefully send a message to Washington, D.C. this primary season.
Well, you're right there, I know, in the heartland of America. I wonder if you're going to Indianapolis or Indiana. We have a candidate in Indiana, a conservative, who's running for Congress, and actually his primary is Tuesday. So I'm hoping that you'll be making that stop. Where have you been stopping, Scotty, now?
That's a great, honestly, Indy would have been wonderful, and we went all around Indy. We started off a week and a half ago in Fort Myers, Florida, where we had a great win down there in that primary, and moved all the way up. And this is the funny part about this, Sharon, because this is how politics is. We think that Al Gore was targeting us. His global warming was targeting us, but he's been a day late, because unfortunately, every city that we have been in, there has just been, and it's sad, I say it half jokingly, a natural disaster or something, whether you want to talk about Mobile, Alabama, that is currently under flood, Jackson, Mississippi, tornadoes. We've been to Oklahoma City, Texarkana. We went to Iowa yesterday. We were in Oklahoma City as well as Omaha, Nebraska, and they ended up right now. In fact, they're about to kick off the rally there in Minnesota, Minneapolis. So, unfortunately, it's been a bad weather for us, but the people and the turnout have just been phenomenal. And it's been so exciting to see all these folks come out here in this horrible weather and still be ready to try to save this country.
So where are you going next? I have an email from the Tea Party Express talking about Dr. Milton Wolfe in Wichita, and of course we'd like an email that would talk about J.D. Manier in Indiana, but tell us where you're going next.
Well, that's the sad part of all this. Today is the last day. Like I said, this is a 10-day tour, and today's the last day there in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we are all, I actually jumped off the bus last night because I needed to come home and vote in my home state of Nashville, Tennessee, for their primary day, which is Tuesday, and I was going to be gone for. So I actually got off the tour to come to my own election booth and to vote. But we got to see Wolf over. We got to visit with him. Also really excited about this candidate down in Mississippi named Chris McDaniel, who is challenging Thad Cochran. Their election, I think, is the beginning of June, their primary. But there is just some great candidates out there in all these states and haven't necessarily gotten the national media attention. But I'm telling you, we're getting some allies up there for Ted Cruz and Mike Lee.
Well, I'm, of course, very interested in who you endorse as being one of your 2010 endorsed candidates from the Tea Party Express. We made a pretty big splash in Washington, D.C. against Terry Reid, and, of course, really put the Tea Party Express on the map when they opposed him in such a forceful way. So I would like to, at this juncture, we usually do it at the last of the show, but maybe we'll do it again at the last of the show as well. Could you give us a way for our audience to get in touch with the Tea Party Express and really follow what they're doing with these primaries?
Well, definitely. Now, that's just the great thing about, here's the thing, Sharon, you know this better than anybody. They say that the Tea Party is divided and they're fighting, and there's all this infighting. The reality of it is the majority of us get along. And I think it's wonderful when we all can, because we're all fighting for the same thing, this country. So, yes, it was the Tea Party Express bus tour, and you can go visit their website, teapartyexpress.org. They have a whole list of everybody that they have that they've endorsed, and continually they're obviously putting more and more endorsements out by the day. I'm actually at the Tea Party News Network, and so we cover all the Tea Party groups. And so while we're not allowed to endorse, it's been great to watch, because we see in a lot of different races, there's a lot of great Tea Party candidates. And so we kind of just cover them all and try to give them equal opportunity to get their message out. Because we know it's not going to work out in the mainstream media. They're not going to be fair and balanced to be equal time on MSNBC or CNN about these candidates. So we try our best to give all of the candidates their options so that they can get the word out there. But there are some of them that are more favorites than others, because we can sit there and guarantee that they're actually Tea Party candidates.
Well, and I would like to now move on to that topic. You are writing about the schism, if you will, between the elite establishment GOP and the grassroots Republicans that come out to Tea Party. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, and you saw it firsthand, obviously, in your own race, Sharon. You were wonderful in it, and I have to tell you, I have said it over and over again in my speech this past 10 days. There's no coincidence that they tried to the progressives tried to test the American people and the American will, and that test happened in Harry Reid's backyard. That's not a coincidence. There's a reason why. And how different would it be if we would have all actually been able to get out there like we should have been out there and working in your race? Because I guarantee that everything that happened down in Nevada would not have been if you were the senator. Not to mention the rest of the things that Harry Reid has done to destroy this country. But the one thing we as Republicans have to realize, and this is hard, and I say we as Republicans, because in the end, right now, we are still we, is that the establishment cannot survive without their grassroots activists, without those people that are grunt workers, the people out there that are answering the phone banks, putting out yard signs. The passion of the party is in the grassroots. That's the Tea Party. At the same time, the Tea Party has to respect that we can't survive. We're not strong enough on our own to survive yet. And so we need to sit there and work with the Republican Party, because they do, unfortunately, have the dollars. They do have the structure that we need. And we need to work together, at least in 2014, and definitely in fighting for the Oval Office in 2016, united under the disasters known as Obamacare, the $17 trillion debt, the IRS targeting. And then, after we reclaim the White House, and then let's send strong messages with certain candidates to D.C. that the grassroots conservative has not been represented up to now, and that we want to take back our party.
Well, let's talk about taking back our party versus a third party. Do you think that the Tea Party is really a third-party movement, or do you see it within the Republican Party? What's your take on that?
At this point, I don't see us as strong enough. There's nothing more these Democrats want to do than divide us. That's how they continually win, is they divide us. So until the Tea Party, until it's been a clear, defined movement to where folks know that we've got the numbers to actually make a difference, we have got to find a way to make the Republican Party go back to its conservative base. I think we have a better chance of that. I think we have a better chance of pushing out these moderate, former known Blue Dog Democrats back over the lines of the left. John McCain, Lindsey Graham, John Boehner, get out of our party. You don't speak on behalf of your party. I tell people all the time, I'm here in Tennessee. Lamar Alexander is not my senator. Ted Cruz is. And we need more people sending that message, and we need more people showing their support and praising the good guys while making sure that those bad guys get what they deserve. Hopefully, packing boxes.
Okay. Now you've made a statement in this article that I read. Reasoning with them doesn't work because their starting point isn't based in rationality, but passion. And what I've experienced with the Tea Party Express, with Tea Partiers, is that these people have done their homework and they want to have the rational discussion. So tell us what's really going on. How do we appeal to them if we can't appeal to them rationally?
Well, how we appeal to them is we give them candidates. But the number one thing right now that they can criticize us on is that we give candidates that never had a chance, that they never had a voting record, that they never had the dollars behind them, and that more importantly, they had never been personally vetted. They had all these skeletons in the closet. So, I believe from a Republican perspective, they're very scared to sit there and put their name on some of the Tea Party candidates. And guess what? I'm scared to put some of my names on some of these Tea Party candidates. We've had good candidates like yourself that are strong and have been vetted, and definitely were ones that we could bank on. But then we've had opposite ones, and these folks that just get up and run for office because they feel like running for office, and they can run as a Tea Party person. They don't realize they might lose, and they might sink back into the background of what their life used to be, but we're still stuck with the stigma of their loss. And we have to start giving the Republican Party good, solid, conservative candidates. And if I hate to do this, but if we have to run our good conservative candidate against their establishment Republican, I guarantee we will win every time, just like we saw in the example of Ted Cruz's race, and hopefully what we're about to see down in Mississippi with the McDaniel race.
Hey, Scotty, Rick Trader here. We're about to come to a break. Could you hold on for just 2 minutes through the break?
Of course.
All right, we are going to take a break right now. You're listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader, coming to you live from the CCRS studios, that of WNJC 1360, and around the world on the internet via our internet broadcast partners, CPRWorldwideMedia.com, PatriotsRide.org, and VigilantLibertyRadio.us. And please don't go away. On the other side of the break, Sharon and I are going to pick up our interview with Scotty Nell Hughes, Chief Contributor and News Director for Tea Party News Network. We'll be right back.
I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but I... Oh, how I'm longing for the day when I'm back at Orchid Bay, where the silver water glistens in the sun.
When is the last time you raced a small boat across wide open water? Tired of snow, traffic jams, cold weather? You need a refreshing change of scenery, a world away. The Bahama Islands have vacation rental homes and apartments. Enjoy spectacular nature in the Abacos Islands. Enjoy refreshing Caribbean beauty, fishing, snorkeling, scuba, the beach. www.enjoyabaco.com. That's ABACO. EnjoyAbaco.com.
As I sail across the sea of Abaco, smiling 'cause I know only one more mile to go.
EnjoyAbaco.com.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Biden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando radio show.
You are listening to Conservative Commandos radio show. Rick Trader and Sharon Engel coming to you live from the CCRS studios, WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, and around the world on the internet with our new internet broadcast partners, CPRWorldwideMedia.com, PatriotsRide.org, and VigilantLibertyRadio.us. Now you can also listen to the Conservative Commandos radio show at any time, any day, by calling 832-999-1199. Call using your cell phone at no extra cost. Use your mobile minutes. We are talking with our guest, Scotty Nell Hughes, who's just finished a tour with the Tea Party Express. She has written an article about the Tea Party versus the establishment, and we've been talking about who wins in this, or as she said, which faction will swallow who. Welcome back, Scotty from the break, thanks for staying through with us. And could you answer that question? Which faction will swallow who?
Yeah, well, and that's it. They will follow you. And honestly, with Tuesday being the first day of our primaries, and we're looking at Kentucky, and in Kentucky and, like you said, Indiana, there are some good candidates that we're looking at. But the problem with unfortunately some of these candidates is that because the Tea Party is, well, there's not one unified body saying you are a Tea Party candidate, you are not. Barack Obama could have run as a Tea Party candidate, which is very scary, and nobody could say, no, you're not, because no one owns the Tea Party brand. I'm afraid my only fear is that Tuesday that some people say, oh, look, the establishment person won. Well, the truth be, in most of these cases, and us, the Tea Party people, were split, local Tea Party groups versus national Tea Party groups. The hard thing is that the mainstream media is going to try to paint every loss as a Tea Party loss because they know that we actually are the majority. And if we see that we're winning, they're afraid that's going to be a snowball that they can't stop.
Well, you're exactly right about this Tea Party brand. I know here in Nevada, Harry Reid actually hired someone to file as the Tea Party in Nevada, a complete political party, and had a candidate running against me for U.S. Senate. Anything to draw off a few points from the true candidate. And that is one of their ploys. So you're exactly right. We need to be careful with this Tea Party brand. It is not an organization, nor is it a brand. It's a movement, if you will, that doesn't have any precise delineation, so that we can't really say you are and you aren't. So what if they say hell no to a moderate GOP? Or what if we say that?
That would be ideal. That would be ideal, that we would say no to a moderate GOP. But I don't know if you've seen this yet, and you, like you said, you pointed out perfectly. You're one of the best examples I've used. Is that the Democrats do get people to run up against the Republicans. I'm seeing here in Tennessee, we had a decent candidate up against Lamar Alexander. I wouldn't say he was my favorite, but he was a good candidate. I'm a fan of Joe Carr. And all of a sudden, 3 weeks ago, when they were starting to get steam, we got another one that just magically jumped into the race, Larry Flint. And all of a sudden, he's a millionaire here in town, but we know he's got direct ties to the establishment Republican here. When you do see, like you said, if just in case, if you get a mano-on-mano, one-on-one establishment versus a true conservative, and we do beat the establishment person, which is what would be ideal, it sends a message that scares the Democrats because they know that means we're being informed. We're gearing ourselves up for a real battle. They know that, yes, while we want six seats in the Senate, our real goal right now is to take back that White House in 2016. And that's what all this is about. It's going right there, and the Democrats are getting scared. And hence why you're seeing a play on our gun rights. Hence why you're seeing now convicted felons possibly getting the voting rights. The work to try to get amnesty for illegals so they can have voting rights. They are scared because they know there's more or less than them. And the more that these conservatives start to get involved and they start to show up at these rallies and start to go to the voting booths, they know that they're going to have to find votes to counter us. And unfortunately, usually those are votes that aren't really Americans in the first place.
Well, and that's why at National Federation for Republican Assemblies, we always endorse in primaries, and I know that is why the Tea Party expresses in endorsing in primaries, is because if you don't get the conservative through the primary, then all you have to vote for is the lesser of two evils, and I know that doesn't appeal to anyone. My co-host, Rick Trader, has some questions for you as well, Scotty Nell.
Yeah, and we're speaking with Scotty Nell Hughes. She serves as the Chief Contributor, News Director for Tea Party News Network. Scotty, it's great to speak with you again.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's always an honor to be with you, too. I feel like I need your autographs. I need to be asking the two of you questions.
Well, one of the things that Sharon and I were talking about before the show was wondering if the Tea Party Express bus was going to come up near the Philadelphia area or out near the Reno area. We'd certainly love to host you.
Oh, we would absolutely. Like I said, we're finishing up this leg, but they're already talking about the September tour. Right. As you know, and both of you have been a part of these campaigns for a long time, it takes a lot of money.
Yep.
It takes a lot of resources. It takes a lot of time. And these were two huge buses staffed with about 45 people.
Wow.
And
who was on those buses? Who all was around the buses?
Oh, that was what we were so great. Katrina Pearson, who was just finished running against Sessions down in Texas, she joined us. We had Dr. Gina Loudon on the bus itself, Wayne Dupree of the News Ninjas. We had several different musical acts that were on, which was a great thing to do. We had, this is probably one of my favorites, Jimmy from Home Improvement. If you remember Tim Allen?
Sure.
His best friend. Jimmy LaSoila was on with us. So we had lots of great people that were on. You got a little bit of kind of a variety show when you came to one of these rallies.
Oh, that sounds so neat. Hey, Scotty, doing the travels the way you have been and your work with Tea Party News Network, how are conservatives revving up? Are we going to be able to match the heights we hit in 2010 with our enthusiasm?
Well, here's the difference. And, I realized it just a couple days ago. They say the Tea Party's dead because we're not hosting these in Washington, D.C. with, 50,000, 100,000, a million people anymore. So they're saying, the Tea Party fizzled out. No, that's the exact opposite. Because that first round where you did see such a public display of frustration in those rallies, that was round one. Now we've moved into more of a strategy phase where we're trying to go in, we're trying to literally, I'm seeing it in county parties across this country, you have members that are truly members of the Tea Party or conservatives running for executive office within the county party. And we are going, okay, we're going to need strategy. It's not all about the PR, the public demonstration, even though I just came from doing rallies. It's all about strategy and getting our people elected into office in important positions so that they can move the marbles around.
Scotty, now, Sharon and I talk about this all the time, that the rallies are great, but you got to put the boots on the ground. You got to go out and work for candidates. You got to support your candidates. You got to donate to candidates. It's not all just rallies. And I just said to Sharon a little bit ago, the one thing that I admire about the Democrats is how they open up their wallets to support their side.
No, you're completely correct. Between the Republicans and Democrats. And the rallies, you're right, the rallies are nice, but the key is you also have to energize, and these are what these rallies were doing. They were energizing the leaders within their own party, saying, you know what, you're not alone. So let us give you a reason, an example to get all together and share with each other what you're doing and to get excited so that when you go back to your individual group, you can sit here and say, and give them the strategy of what we need to do to win. Sometimes we just need to go to church. And I said that this bus tour was like going to church for 2 days straight, patriotic church, because you came, it was a revival, and you needed to be pumped up because if you turn on the television, if you read the news, you get beaten down. And you needed to be surrounded by people that had that same ambition, that same wish as you did to save this country, and then you were able to go back out and fight.
Scotty, that was a great analogy, and I get the same feeling when I go to places like CPAC or Defending the American Dream Summit when I'm around good, right mind thinking people.
No, and that's why they do it, and that's why those conventions are good. It's one thing to sit here and they always say, "Oh, you're preaching to the choir." Well, guess what? When your choir is being lashed, when your choir is being, as the term has been this week, waterboarded, when we're being tortured, when we're being beaten down constantly, yes, sometimes it is good to preach to the choir and to cheer them on and say, you're doing it right, keep the fight up. And that's why sometimes it's good for us to preach to those that aren't. I think that's why people listen to your show. They're listening to your show not only to get the information to fight, but to know that they're not alone and that they can turn on their radio and they're going to hear voices that support and believe the same thing they do, and that we believe in strength and numbers on our side.
Well, speaking of fighting the good fight, Scotty Nell Hughes, Chief Contributor News Director for the Tea Party News Network. Sharon and I want to thank you so much for joining us on the Conservative Commandos radio show. And Scotty, do you have a website?
We do. Please go to tpnn.com. We'd love to see you. And also, like I said, if you want to find out more about the Tea Party Express, who sponsor this whole tour, teapartyexpress.org. And
your writings can be found on Town Hall?
You've got it, townhall.com. Just look for me every week.
All right. Scotty Nell Hughes, thanks for joining us today here on the Conservative Commandos radio show.
You got it. Thank you.
All right. We are going to take a break right now. You're listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader, coming to you from the CCRS studios, that of WNJC 1360, our flagship station in Philadelphia, like we do Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m., and, of course, around the world on the Internet via our Internet broadcast partners, CPR Worldwide Media, patriotsride.org, and vigilantlibertyradio.us. And please don't go away. Right on the other side, we're going to be speaking with Gina Miller.
They say I'm crazy. I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but I...
What does it take to be the leader in production systems technology? To be the one company that solves production problems at any plant, for any product, and with any technology? It takes a 30-year record of success. It takes total mastery of complex technologies with a history of delivering success every time, without fail. Only one company can claim that high ground in manufacturing line optimization, data automation, and systems integration, and that's Philadelphia Control Systems. In factories worldwide, Philadelphia Control Systems programs, software, and engineering solutions deliver optimal performance and output flow with a record that can't be matched. Any plant, any product, any technology. Philadelphia Control Systems, the leader in production automation since 1982. 800-335-9811, PCS4automation.com. That's PCS, the number 4, automation.com.
Oh, how I'm longing for the day when I'm back at Orchid Bay, where the silver water glistens in the sun.
When is the last time you raced a small boat across wide open water? Tired of snow, traffic jams, cold weather? You need a refreshing change of scenery, a world away. The Bahama Islands have vacation rental homes and apartments. Enjoy spectacular nature in the Abacos Islands. Enjoy refreshing Caribbean beauty, fishing, snorkeling, scuba, the beach. www.enjoyabaco.com. That's ABACO. Enjoyabaco.com.
As I sail across the sea of Abaco, the smiling 'cause I know only one more mile to go.
Enjoyabaco.com.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Viden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glasper, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
Hello, I'm Reverend Carl Kelly, and I head up the Frederick Douglass Foundation of Indiana. President Obama's attacks on the Constitution continues to be aided and abetted by one of his trusted allies in Congress, ultra-liberal Democrat Andre Carson of Indianapolis, nationally known for his infamous racial rants against the Tea Party. I want to tell you about J.D. Manier. J.D. will be a representative for the people of the 7th District. J.D. Manier is a pro-growth Reagan conservative and is co-host of the conservative Commandos Radio show. He is asking you to join his army of supporters in order to defeat Carson and go to Washington to demand special prosecutors for Benghazi, the IRS, and other scandals. JD is interested in what's good for the people of the 7th District, not Nancy Pelosi. He will promote strong economic growth and jobs by getting the government off the backs of the people, voting for tax cuts and slashing regulations. Help elect a pro-life defender of freedom who will strongly support Israel, vote to cut wasteful spending, and battle to repeal Obama's socialist agenda. Log on to ManierForCongress.com and donate today. That's MINIEAR for Congress.com. Paid for and authorized by the J.D. Manier for Congress Committee.
I'm J.D. Manier, candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives, Indiana District 7, and I approve of this message.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader. And a program note, if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show at 10:10 this evening, that's Eastern Time, log on to patriotsride.org. That's patriotsride.org. Now, 5 o'clock when we end our live broadcast, please switch on over to cprworldwidemedia.com and click on the Listen Live link, and you can hear a rebroadcast of yesterday's show. Then you'll have another opportunity to hear today's show tomorrow afternoon at vigilantlibertyradio.us. And don't forget, you can hear our show anytime, day or night, by calling 832-999-1199. Call using your cell phone. There's no extra charges for this call. So if you have a cell phone with unlimited minutes, there you go. You're hooked right up. And with that, Sharon Engel, we do have our next guest with us. And in fact, she's my newest Facebook friend. So Sharon, the honor of the introduction is yours.
It is my honor to welcome Gina Miller, a native of Texas and a current resident of the Mississippi Gulf Coast. She's a conservative Christian political writer and radio television voice professional, a former radio disc jockey. Gina, welcome to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show.
Hey, Sharon and Rick, I'm really glad to be on with you. Thanks for having me.
Well, it seems appropriate that you're on today, May 1st, which is the National Day of Prayer. And it's going to be celebrated across the nation with prayers for our country. Of course, we know that's the true healing is going to come when we, the people of God, actually get on our knees and ask for Him to heal our land after we've confessed our sins. But it seems like we're right in the middle of one more of these debacles that's going to attack the people. And you have written an article saying that the Dems propose trolling the media web for hate speech. Tell us about that.
Right, Sharon. It's a new bill that's in both houses of Congress, and it's called the Hate Crimes Reporting Act of 2014. There's a version in the House and Senate, sponsored in the Senate by Democrat Ed Markey of Massachusetts and Hakeem Jeffries of New York in the House. And the bills are currently both in committee. And what they are in a nutshell is they're calling for the creation of a report that's put together by the Justice Department, the Department of Civil Rights, and others to go and look through all the media, the Internet, the television broadcasting, the radio broadcasts, and even the mobile excuse me, I've lost my place here, but they're going to be trolling for what they would consider to be hate speech. Although they don't call it hate speech in the bill, they call it something that could incite violence or hate crimes. And that's what they're going to be looking for. They also call for, once the report is compiled, which, where are they going to be looking for all this information? We don't know. It doesn't say. But they also want recommendations in dealing with it. And that is the truly scary part of this, is what determines hate speech, who's going to decide what it is, and what sort of recommendations are they expecting, if not some sort of curbing of this so-called hate speech. It was commercial mobile devices, commercial mobile services. That's what made me wonder if they were going to troll cell phones even.
Well, and that was what I was going to ask you to. Let's go back one step here. When you're talking about media, we use social media all the time, don't we? Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I mean, there's just so many of these, YouTube, and also our cell phones. So what's to keep this bill, from allowing that to be open as well? I mean, we've just gone through a huge revelation, I guess, of the NSA that they're spying on citizens. So what now we're going to make that legal? Is that what this bill is about?
Right, that's the question. And when they say, broadly, the Internet, that's how they put it. The Internet, what are they going to be examining? As you pointed out, Facebook postings, private email accounts, cell phones and radio. Would that be callers to talk shows? What is it? The bill is a very short bill. It's only a page long, and they do not define hate speech in it. And, we've been warning for a long time now that the hate crimes legislation that's already on the books would ultimately lead to silencing of so-called hate speech. It's inevitable, even though the left will deny it and laugh at you and mock you for making such a claim. But it's the only logical progression, because the socialist, communist regimes throughout history, throughout the world, they always silence free speech because they have to.
This brings up just the most timely question. We've just had an incidence of what people might call hate speech with the owner of the Clippers saying some really stupid things and very disgusting things. But the hammer has gone down really hard on a private conversation that was released through a social media outlet. So does that open us all up to some kind of prosecution or persecution? Well, how does this relate to what's just happened in the news?
Sharon, I'm glad you brought that up, because you saw the reaction across the board, left and right. It was like a feeding frenzy with Mr. Sterling. And yes, what he said was grotesque and whatever, but that's his problem. But because of it, he lost his whole shirt, so to speak. I mean, this is just really over the top in a free society that our fundamental God-given right to free speech under such an assault as this, to where he would be railroaded out of his business, his livelihood, over something he said, over opinions that he holds. It is outrageous. And yes, in answer to your question, absolutely this goes to that. And the over-the-top reaction by both the left and the right to what this man said, and the result of it with the NBA commissioner coming out like the Gestapo after him, it really disturbed me. Not that anybody likes this guy. That's not even the point. It doesn't matter whether we like him or not, or whether we agree with what he says or not. No one in the United States of America should lose their entire business, their whole franchise, because of personal opinions they hold.
Well, and it seems like we're going back to this idea that even from the pulpit, if you express a counterculture idea, now our culture, they say, is morphing toward this idea of same-sex marriage, but we as Christians know that that's not a belief that's held by Bible-believing folks. And from the pulpit, that viewpoint of the Bible could be expressed. Now, what's the difference between a pulpit message and hate speech?
There is none, according to the socialist left. We already, Sharon, we already see hate speech laws in our neighbor Canada, across the Atlantic, in Europe. And you are not allowed to speak out against the militant homosexual movement. You cannot stand up and simply read the biblical admonitions against homosexuality. You can't say that there's no such thing as homosexual marriage and that there never could be. These kind of things, and this is where we are headed, whether it's
I'm
outrageous.
going to have to break in here, Gina.
Okay.
I want you to hold that thought, because we have to go to a break right now, and we want you to stay through the break, and we'll discuss this on the other side of the break. Okay?
Sure.
We are talking with Gina Miller. She's from Texas. She is a former disc jockey, and we're talking about an article that she wrote for barbedwire.com, them oppose trolling media web for hate speech. And we're talking about what that means to you and me as citizens and our First Amendment rights. We'll be right back after this break with Conservative Commandos Radio Show and our guest, Gina Miller.
I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm lefty, but I... Oh, how I'm longing for the day when I'm back at Orchid Bay, where the silver water glistens in the sun.
When is the last time you raced a small boat across wide open water? Tired of snow, traffic jams, cold weather? You need a refreshing change of scenery, a world away. The Bahama Islands have vacation rental homes and apartments. Enjoy spectacular nature in the Abacos Islands. Enjoy refreshing Caribbean beauty, fishing, snorkeling, scuba, the beach. www.enjoyabaco.com. That's ABACO. Enjoyabaco.com.
As I sail across the sea of Abaco, smiling 'cause I know only one more mile to go.
Enjoyabaco.com.
Hi, this is Bob Vide, owner of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glassboro, New Jersey. I've had the opportunity to travel in many foreign countries, and I've seen what happens to people when they lose their freedom. I wrote this poem. Give us freedom was the cry as they marched throughout the night. At Concord Bridge in Trenton, for freedom they would fight. To build a nation that would last with peace and liberty, it is a job that's never done if we are to be free. They wrote a declaration to announce that we are free, then a constitution for all the world to see. But this is ink on paper. We must make it last. It must always be defended, and that is quite a task. Today the battle rages for freedom in our land. To save our Constitution, we all must take a stand. We must stand up for freedom in our actions every day, and you can stand up with us. Join the NRA. This is Bob Viden of Bob's Little Sports Shop in Glassboro, New Jersey. You may call us at area code 856-881-7575 or visit us online at bobslittle.sportshop.com.
You can call the Conservative Commandos radio show at 856-227-1360. Your opinion counts at 856-227-1360.
This is Congressman Alan West, and you're listening to the Conservative Commando Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos Radio Show with Sharon Engel and Rick Trader. And if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show at 10:10 this evening, please log on to patriotsride.org. That's patriotsride.org. And for a rebroadcast of yesterday's show at 5 p.m. when we end our live broadcast, please log on to cprworldwidemedia.com. And you can also hear today's show tomorrow afternoon at vigilantliberadyradio.us. And don't forget, you can hear our show anytime, day or night, by calling 832-999-1199. And our guest this segment is Gina Miller, native of Texas, currently living on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And we've asked Gina to join us today to discuss her article that's appearing on barbedwire.com. Dems propose trolling media web for hate speech. Hey, Gina, before we get back into talking about your article, I understand that you were just at one of the rallies with Scotty Nell Hughes with the Tea Party Express.
That's right, Rick. I had tuned into your show a little bit early, and I heard Scotty Nell on with you and Sharon, and I was astonished. I said, I just saw her last week. It was a great rally we had here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. They stopped here in Biloxi. It's right off the beach down there on Casino Row, and it was just, we had patriots that came from all over the place to watch the rally and to participate. Scotty Nell was wonderful. Gina Loudon was there as well. And, of course, it was a stop. Since it's in Mississippi, they were there to support State Senator Chris McDaniel in his run against the establishment old warhorse Thad Cochran, who we are really hoping to retire this June.
Old warhorse, ridden hard and put away wet.
He needs to be put away. Just retired. You know, go spend some more time with your family. That would be great.
All right, Gina, your article. You in your article you talk about the Hate Crime Reporting Act of 2014. Now, you know what gets me about these bills, Gina, is they always have a name that or a title that everyone could get behind. After all, who's for hate crimes? Nobody is. The Hate Crime Reporting Act of 2014. What are the chances of passage of this thing?
Well, I'll tell you, not to get everyone's hopes up, and make you let down your guard, but even the Boston Globe, which is hardly a bastion of conservatism, they came out with a scathing editorial against it. They called it a frankly chilling proposition. So, anyone who recognizes the danger in attacks against our God-given First Amendment protected rights for free speech will see right through this thing. I mean, it's a short bill. Anyone can read it. It's linked in my column. It's on several places in the internet. So, I mean, honestly, I don't think this has a very good chance of passing. It has no co-sponsors as of yet in the Senate. It has 29 co-sponsors in the House, but they're all Democrats, the usual suspects. So I really don't see this going anywhere, but it is a testament to how these people are not going to stop working, and we have to pay attention to what they are doing.
Hey, Gina, another thing about things like this, they're a trial balloon. I think a lot of time they're floated knowing that they're going to be shot down, but they want to get that trial balloon out there, and they'll keep coming back to it. They'll keep coming back to it. They'll keep just like Obamacare, okay?
Right. Yep.
National health care insurance was proposed 40, 50 years ago. And at the time, people go, oh, no one will ever want that. No one will ever want that. But, every so often, they keep refloating the same balloon. And unfortunately, like with Obamacare, it picks up momentum, these things. Gina, you and Sharon were talking about Canada and how there are parts of this already in Canada. And I just wanted to say that, in fact, in Canada, there's certain passages of the Bible that you're not allowed to say anymore.
That's right, and you, maybe you saw this week where there was a man running for, I believe it's Parliament over in the UK, who was arrested for quoting Winston Churchill.
Oh my God!
When he was quoting from an 1899 book that Winston Churchill wrote about the Mohammedans. and somebody called the police and arrested him. And in Canada, I don't know if you're familiar with Peter LaBarbera having gone over there to stand with some pro-life, pro-marriage people, and he was also arrested.
Wow.
An American citizen in Canada.
Hey, Gina, in your article, you talk about the bill provides no definitions, so we're left to presume the nebulous hate speech, which is all we can call it, in the eye of the Justice Department and other groups involved in compiling the report. And whenever I hear Justice Department anymore, Gina, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me, because this Justice Department that we have is a political arm of this administration today. And anything involving the Justice Department, I'm very leery of, also because of what Barack Obama said. And let's start listening to this man's words and believing what he says. Going to reward our friends and punish our enemies.
That's right, and just the list of people involved, as you said, the Justice Department, I cringe, because they are the opposite. They're the Department of Injustice. They're a criminal arm of the administration, and not only them, the United States Commission on Civil Rights will be involved, and we'll see all the usual suspects. We're going to be talking about racism. We're going to be talking about all the specially protected groups. The homosexual movement will be under this. The hate speech not being defined will be anything that goes against the ruling class in Washington, and that is currently the Democrats.
Yeah. Hey, Gina, one more question before I swing you back over to Sharon. What's it like working with that guy, Matt Barber?
Matt Barber is awesome.
We love having him as a guest, by the way.
Oh, Matt's great, and his new website is really taken off. If you've not visited, it's barbwire.com. There's no ED. It's Barb, like Matt Barber, barbwire.com. It's updated every day with hard-hitting stories that just tell it like it is out there, stuff you won't see anywhere else. And Matt's awesome. I was honored that he had invited me to become part of the lineup.
Well, Gina, I was on the campaign trail in 2010, and Joy Behar of The View came out on that show and called me a bitch. Now, do I have a case for hate speech? Then she directed it personally at me. I mean, this wasn't just a global. She said I was that, and she directed it at me. Do I have a case under this law?
Well, this law right now, as I wrote in the column, it's very vague. It's nebulous. There are literally no specifics other than the list of things they're going to be looking at. They don't have any definitions of hate speech. They don't define it. All they say is something that might cause violence or hate crimes. So, and as you know, if I read out of the Bible and it offends somebody, that could be considered a hate crime in some parts of the world. Then you've committed a hate crime by offending a specially protected group of people. And as far as Ms. Behar saying that about you, this bill doesn't actually address that. It's just this bill calls for the creation of this report and then recommendations on what to do about it. That's the scary part, Sharon, and that's why we really need Senator Markey needs to answer for this, because this is Senator Markey's doing. He's been at this hate crimes business since the early 90s. This is not new for him. But what is going on here is he needs to be asked, what does this mean? What does he intend to do, and what does he mean by recommendations?
Well, today, all day long, is a national day of prayer, and we're going to be making supplications to our Lord, asking for his forgiveness for some of the crimes that have been committed in this country, namely the baby killing that's gone on, and also the crimes against marriage, and not just the same-sex marriage, but divorce and also polygamy, things that have happened within our culture that have really been a stench to the nostrils of God. And many of those will be taped. And so our prayers now on these topics may be considered hate speech this evening. What would you counsel people who are looking at what just happened to Sterling, and now we're talking about a bill going through Congress, the NSA? What can we do to protect ourselves? Should we try to protect ourselves, or should we just say, no, that's our constitutional First Amendment right? What's your counsel to us?
Sharon, well, for one thing, hold fast to the Lord and the love of God, because in love there is no fear, in true love. So we definitely need to be doubling down on our praying, reading the Bible, and certainly standing firm, because strong, courageous American citizens are what we need now more than ever. And we will resist, and we will say no. We will stand up. This kind of outrage here, this bill, this Hate Crimes Reporting Act, is an outrage. It is an affront to the United States of America and our foundations. And these people have no business. They have no business being in Washington to begin with, but much less pulling a stunt like this. And as Rick noted, they will keep coming back. It's a trial balloon. They're going to keep coming back. We have to be vigilant, never sleeping anymore for this giant. So, Sharon, we have to just pray and keep it up.
Thank you, Gina Miller. We have to wrap it up now. We're at the end of our program. Can you give us a website, someplace where people can follow you?
Yes, certainly. Several sites carry my columns, including, as we mentioned, barbedwire.com, also renewamerica.com, and I'm on Facebook.
Thank you again. Gina Miller, who's from the Mississippi Gulf Coast, she's written this article, Dems Propose Trolling Media Web for Hate Speech, on barbedwire.com. Please follow her. We need to be strong.
Hey, Sharon, actually, we're up against the end of our show. We're just about out of time, but I want to remind our listeners, please switch on over to hear a rebroadcast of yesterday's show at 5 p.m. Log on to CPRWorldwideMedia.com. That's CPRWorldwideMedia.com. Sharon, I want to thank you for working with me as my co-host. I also want to thank our other guests, Fred Lucas, Scotty Nell Hughes, and Gina Miller. But for right now, we're out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care, God bless, and we'll see you tomorrow on the radio.
Thank you for listening to the Conservative Commandos radio show. Huge thanks to our co-hosts, contributors, patrons, callers, and our friends at WNJC 1360 and WIFI 1460, where we broadcast live every Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern and 2 to 4 p.m. Central. Look for us on the internet at www.ccrshow.com. Until next time, we are the Conservative Commandos radio show, where the newsmakers go to be heard.